Hey, y'all, this is Niles from Shaker Hymns, and you're listening to The Barn Radio.
Somewhere between 17 and 23, it occurred to me that I haven't got a clue on how to live. I'll wake up tired as I've ever been. I sing the songs of rambling men. I'm on the road again. And though I try to bring you with me, cell phone calls and wallet memories, the lonely is as lonely as it's been. But now there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card, and I turned in. Do you remember outside Louisiana? I got that phone.
Hi, and welcome to The Barn, live from the Barn studio. You got the Mox here with a special guest online with us right now. We have Niles from the band Shaker Hymns. Niles, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing really well. We are indebted. And we want to send a quick shout out to Austin, your manager, who's also, I guess, maybe William Clark Green's manager. That's how we met him last year.
Yeah.
So shout out Austin.
Austin Salazar, man. I've been really lucky to get to know that guy over the past 2 years. He's William Clark Green's tour manager, so he made sure that they get to the gig when they got to get to the gig. And he's just recently started helping us out with some stuff, getting some things going in order. So shout out to Austin for sure.
That can't be an easy job, right? Like you're the parent on a group of sometimes and I don't want to speak for William Clark Green, although I did have a bus experience with William Clark Green that we'll save for another time. But it can't be easy being the parent to a bunch of rowdy teenagers, pretty much, right?
Hell no, but don't ever let Austin fool you. That guy parties more and harder than anybody else I think I've ever met. So that guy, whether he acts like it or not, when he does his job, he's 100% professional. But when it's time for him to let loose a little bit, he takes full advantage. I can vouch for that.
Well, you have to ask him sometime about the moonshine in Missouri. And I don't know if he had some specifically, but some other people did as well. But that's classified information.
100%. We don't want to say anything that could implicate us.
Tell us about Shaker Hymns. I mean, this is a band that you guys have been around for a while, but it seems like, and I know COVID obviously put a damper on things for a few years, but tell us about Shaker Hymns.
Yeah, man, we've been kicking it for a while. I've been playing live music for about 11 years now. We've been a full band, really getting after it for about 8, but really hitting the road for about 6. And it's one of those things where in this new age of social media, we get kind of, I wouldn't say forgotten or lost, but we are not the best social media wizards in the world. We focused really, really hard on the music for a long time. So a lot of people always come to our shows and they're like, man, we never heard about y'all. I've never heard of y'all. I've never whatever. While y'all put on a great show. And I think a lot of that is that we've spent so much time kind of honing our craft as a live band, but not enough time on the social media areas. And I guess doing podcasts with wonderful people like yourself. So that's why we're kind of trying to step it up a little bit in that market for sure.
If you're going to be in that world, it's something that you got to at least embrace or hire somebody else to do, right? Like that's kind of one of the 2 ways about it.
100%. If you don't hire someone to do it that knows what they're doing, then you got to have a good mind about it yourself, for sure.
I kind of get asked about it quite a bit because we know what we are and what we're not. We're small town guys that are just passionate about what we do. But you do, I spend a lot of my time just posting to social media. It takes up a lot more time than maybe people even think.
Yeah, we had management for the past 2 years, and they were kind of taking care of our social media posts. Recently, we parted ways, and I've been doing most of the socials myself. And it is a 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week job to get it done. You got to be coming up with content all the time and posting it all the time. And then most of the time, nobody even gives a shit if they post it or not. They don't really care, but you still got to do it. That's what sucks about it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those necessary things that you have to do. Not always fun, though, and I agree with you there. How would you classify your sound to someone who's never heard of you guys?
Man, we get asked that question a lot, and it's a really tough question. I would say, for the most part, we're a rock and roll band with a little bit of country influence, but a lot of the songwriter stuff that I do is a lot more country-based and very folky, I guess. It's really hard to explain because if you go and watch myself do a show, like a solo show, a few songs, along with a lot of my slower pretty sad acoustic based songs. But if you go and see our full band, it's going to be live rock and roll, a lot of guitar solos, kind of in your face stuff. So it's really hard to classify, but I think our guitar player and I have talked about it a lot. One of the things that we really try to tell people is we're just kind of roots based music. We have a lot of basis in the blues, a lot of bass in folk, and we kind of just try to make it work from there. But we call it roots music to make it sure.
Everything that you're saying, I definitely hear in your songs, and I think that's one of the things that bands like you are so maybe interesting to listen to, is that one song might sound pretty different from the rest or from the next 100%. Song. One thing that I did see in an interview that you did is you mentioned that you're a big Guns N' Roses fan, which I am too, by the way.
Oh, man, that was like my first love, was the Slash and rock and roll. I started out as a guitar player. I did not have any intentions of being a singer when I was younger. I kind of started a band just to be able to play guitar, but we did not have anybody that could sing or wanted to sing. And in order to get shows, I started singing, and I'm so glad that I did, because if I didn't start doing that, I would not have been led into songwriting, which is kind of like where I found my love.
Yeah.
After our thing.
Yeah, and I bring up the Guns N' Roses thing because once I heard that in the interview, it totally made sense to me. One song of yours, which I think you're going to play for us live here in a little bit, Hotel Keycard, very acoustic, but Southern, classic country sound to it, and then you hear another song that's like a rocker that I could drink a bar to and swing the girl around the dance floor. So it's very two different things. And Guns N' Roses is one of those bands, they would have something like, the ballad Patience, and then they would have Welcome to the Jungle. So I saw that, I heard you say that, and it made a lot of sense to me with your music.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the old rock and roll bands do so well, is that and that's kind of like when you asked the question, the first thing I said was we're just a rock and roll band. I think back in the day, there was less of a stigma to be classified as something. They would just kind of do what they wanted to do. And I think that the bands that have always, or even just the artists that have always kind of transcended the time, I guess, have always done what they wanted to do. And that's kind of what we do. It's a little bit of everything, which makes it kind of hard to classify. But I think people really latch onto that because it is so true to ourselves.
Do you have a preference? Do you like it when it's a little bit more acoustic and intimate, or the full rocker?
It really depends on the day. I love like jamming out. Like I said, I was a guitar player before I was a singer. So I love getting after it. But at the same time, if you get a listening room with 30 to 40 people in there who are just completely intent on what you're doing, then it's that kind of makes the whole thing way worth it. So it really just depends on the show. It's kind of tough to say.
Are you familiar with the artist John R. Miller?
I don't think so. I'm not super familiar with the name.
The reason I bring it up is I actually saw him last night. I've seen him in the clubs before where it is and he's not near as rock as you guys, but it was a full band, loud, electric, mostly electric. And then last night I literally watched him play on somebody's porch. And he's
no shit.
Yeah, and it was just one of the coolest things. And I think that's where you see true artistry, is that you're able to do both. And I'm sure those are different kind of feelings for an artist that are having performances like that. But that was just so neat to see, and kind of reminds me of what you're talking about with the different types of sound and performances.
And it's funny you say that. I had an interesting situation, like I guess it was probably 2 years ago. I played a show in Fort Worth, or we played a full band show in Fort Worth, and someone liked us. They reached out and they wanted me to play an acoustic house party. So I went there and I played this acoustic house party show. Everyone there was great. I had a wonderful time. They were super accommodating. And I finished packing up playing, and they were like, well, we have another guy coming in who's going to play after you. I was like, cool, what's his name? And they were like, his name's Charles Wesley Godwin.
Oh, gosh.
And it was like, it was a house show. Like, I mean, there was, like I said, 30 or 40 people there tops, and they had hired him. He was on a stop through some tour that he was doing, so I got to meet him there. But it was so bizarre to me because I had never heard his name until then, and so I started following him immediately. And now he's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the thing. He's doing all the big stuff with Zach Bryan and like headlining arenas and stuff. And it's just wild how that happens. But it really comes down to like the genuinity of the whole thing. People are just being themselves, and I think people latch onto that, which makes it great.
You've released a couple albums this year so far. Hotel Key Card and Love in a Bottle. Are these singles? Are they released solo, or are they bigger, a couple pieces of a bigger collective album?
They are singles that will be part of an album. We're releasing an album on July 7th. That album will be called The Highway and the Boulevard. We released a single called The Highway and the Boulevard as well. That's the title track. But it's a concept album that is like super hard for me to explain, and I'm almost to the point where I don't want to explain it to people because I'd rather them just listen to it and kind of draw their own conclusions about it. But long story short, it's a love story about a guy and a girl who go to pursue a dream, and one of them gets tangled up in all of the endless nightmares that can come with, and doesn't turn out well. But you'd have to listen to the whole thing to figure it out. But yeah, to make it short, they're part of an album.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. How much storytelling do you do in your songwriting? I know some of it's probably autobiographical. How much storytelling do you do?
It's I would say half and half. It starts out, a lot of it is autobiographical, but a lot of it comes from the people that I've met on the road, or the people that I've had in my life, friendship, or someone that's close to my mother, or someone that's close to my girlfriend's aunt's niece or something. I feel like I'm always writing. So I try to take in every little bit of information that I can. And I think the most important thing is seeing how like everyday life situations affect different people. And I try to really pay attention to those and then use that in my writing. So I would say it's half and half.
Are you one of those artists that you just have a ton of like, notes in your phone, or you humming into your phone? Do you keep things? Do ideas and concepts pop in your head all the time that you kind of keep track of, and then you go back and rehash it out? Or what's the songwriting process like for you?
Yeah, I do keep a lot of stuff in my phone. I do have a large list of notes and a large collection of voice memos. I'm really bad about revisiting them though. So I'll put a lot of stuff down and jot a lot of stuff down. And if it's good enough, it'll resurface itself somewhere in the future. But for the most part, I just lose all of it. But I feel like I'm writing all the time, and I think that's important. There's a documentary with Ed Sheeran where he's talking about songwriting. He says it's kind of like when you go to an old house and you turn on a faucet. At first, you flushed out a lot of shit water, and that's all it is. It's not drinkable because it hasn't been used in a long time. But after you let that water run for a while, that shit water starts turning clear, and it's, you can use it for whatever you need to. And I feel like he says that songwriting is the same way, and I agree with that a lot. If you're not exercising that muscle, you can lose it. So I try to use it as much as I can, but I would be lying if I said that I write a song every day, or that every single idea I write down, I end up turning into something. That just wouldn't be true.
Do you end up doing like co-writes or like what do they call them, like writers' rounds or anything like that? Do you collaborate with others?
I try. I found that I'm not very good at it. I'm not a great co-writer. I've tried a lot, and that's something that I'm very interested in. I know that a lot of people that I look up to have said that co-writing is kind of the next step. That's where you really start to find your voice, especially when you're thrown in with a bunch of different voices. I've just, myself personally, anytime I've tried to do it, it doesn't align very well. So I haven't been fortunate enough to co-write anything.
Do you feel like your songwriting has evolved over the years that you've been doing it? Because you've been at it obviously for a while. Do you feel like it's evolved in any way?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of whether I wanted, obviously I wanted to. I'm always working at it, and I think anybody would be working at it. But regardless of that, life just happens to you, and you're going to kind of change and evolve regardless of the situation. So as much as I've changed and evolved in my own life, I think I've evolved in the same way in songwriting. It just kind of happens day to day. And I was trying to explain it to someone the other day. It's a lot like phases of life. You'll look back and you won't even realize that you were going through that phase, whether it be life or songwriting or whatever it is. And you'll look back and it'll be like, man, remember that one time when I was like drunk for 6 years straight? And that was just, so I do a lot of that. But yeah, I do feel like I've evolved kind of just day to day as anybody would.
We had the album coming out in July. What's the rest of 2023? I see that you have a show coming up soon down in Dallas, but didn't see any other tour dates other than that. Are you guys going to be hitting the road and playing some shows?
Yeah, we're working on building a tour right now for our album release. Try to be as busy as we can. We're struggling right now because we're in a position where everybody in the band works full-time jobs mostly. So we get out as much as we can, but this day and age, it's so hard to make a living playing music, because if you're not selling out a show, then you have to sell merch. But if you don't have enough people in your venue to sell merch, then you're kind of just losing your ass either way. So we really do it for the love of the sport at this point. But yeah, we're trying to build a tour around our album and we'll see what happens. We have some dates that we haven't announced yet. They'll be kind of exciting. But I think probably around the end of June, beginning of July, we'll release a bunch of dates for everyone to come check us out.
Well, we're excited for that. We're excited for the new album coming out. Everybody can find your information at shakerhymns.com. And you're going to play us out with a song called Hotel Keycard, one of my favorites of you guys. Can you tell us a little bit about Hotel Keycard?
Yeah, I started writing that song about 7 years ago. I was just starting to hit the road with the band that I'm in now. And I was a young songwriter. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. And we were driving back from College Station one day, and I got us in a really bad accident that, for better or worse, long story short, almost killed myself and the drummer. We got out of it unscathed, very luckily. But after that, I was kind of freaked out, and I started thinking about a lot of things that I would give up if I pursued a life on the road, or if I were to, unfortunately, die on the road. And that's kind of where the song came from, and it ended up fitting in with this album as the dreamer's, I guess, problem that they have to cross the crossroads and find out if it's worth it or not.
This is The Barn, live from the Barn studio, and we are joined with Niles from Shaker Hymns, and going to send us out with Hotel Keycard.
Somewhere between 17 and 23, it occurred to me that I haven't got a clue on how to live. I wake up tired as I've ever been. I sing the songs of rambling man. I'm on the road again. And though I try to bring you with me, cell phone calls and wallet memories, the lonely is as lonely as it's been. But now there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card not turned in. Do you remember outside Louisiana, I got that phone call from your friends? They busted them with intent to sell me. That phone call that I had to make to my buddy stuck in cell blockade to the Baldwin County Jail. That 2-lane highway turnaround was bound to put me in the ground. When I held you, swore I'd never live again. But now there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card not turned in. I'm proud of all the places that I've gone, all the people that I've seen. But water in your grass doesn't always mean it turns out green. That 2-lane highway turned around and found you, put me in the ground. When I held you, I swore I would never leave again. But now there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card not turned in. Yes, there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card not turned in. When I make it back around, I finally get to settle down. It's I love yous and my bags are packed again. Because there's 3 more days and 2 more nights and 1 more hotel key card not turned in.